Hello, my little wordlings. Welcome to my channel. I review books from a writerly perspective to see what we can learn. Today's selection of books are, I wouldn't call them middle of the road books, but they're definitely solid reads, get you through a reading slump, that are interesting and in the moment and good for you. You might not remember much about it once you're done, but you're not going to regret reading them. And I know it sounds like I'm insulting these books, but I'm really not. I remember enjoying these books thoroughly and that they were quick reads that really entertained me, but I just can't quite remember what they were about. Mind you, this has not worked for a long time. So let's start with this one. The Replacement by Brianna Jovanoff. I remember this one. Someone bought it for me, and I'm not into books like this too much. I used to love really like horror books, but they had to be like deep horror books, and this seemed a little light for me, but it was there. I tried it and I really don't regret it. And if from an overall writing perspective from all of these, this will show you how to make good content, create good sentence structure, create a solid story that your reader will appreciate. And once you're through that hurdle, you can apply those rules to anything that your little brain can come up with. I don't know how else to put that. Aren't I a great writer? Jeez. But no, I'm serious though. It's almost ineffable in its way. There's a lot of videos and books out there about story and structure that I highly recommend. You should always learn more of your craft, but sometimes it's just good to read a solid book that has all the elements that make a good story, and you'll start to see the patterns of how much character development they give you. And if it's a book like this, how they do their atmosphere. So I don't trust a writer that doesn't read. So next one, where am I going to put that? I'll put it there. Dean Koontz, Life Expectancy. Almost all Dean Koontz books are like this. I don't think I've ever read a bad book that I came away and said, oh, that was a waste of time. The Door to October was my favorite. That one actually stuck with me a lot, but all his other books are just like, you know what, I'm going to pick that up because I know at the end of the day, it's going to be a good story and a good read. And it'll, if you're not feeling good one day, or you're having a bad day, no one's judging you. We've all been there. This is on your bedside table, and you're just going to pick it up and read a couple of pages at a time because that's all you can handle. But it'll get you through, and you're still going to finish the book and have something to enjoy about it. This one, Kurt Vonnegut, God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. This is one of his lighter books. This one and Dead-Eye Dick. And I'm pretty good at remembering most of what Kurt Vonnegut writes because he is my favorite author. But this one didn't stick with me very much. So if you want to try out Kurt Vonnegut, but you don't want something as intense, let's say, as Slaughterhouse-Five or Mother Night, go with this one. Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart. This one I actually had to read for my fiction class in university, and that was some years ago. And it's not because I'm embarrassed about my age, it's because I'm embarrassed about how bad I am at math. But I remember not hating it. I remember being able to read it and talk about it in class and not feel like I was diminished because there was something I just didn't get about the text, which did happen because when you're in the mood to read into something, it's really fun and to pick it apart. But when you're not in the mood and you're just like, I just need to get through this so I can get to my next project, sometimes you need a book like this that is just a good book that you can have a normal discussion about it and you don't have to look for hidden meaning. This one, Bearded Women by Teresa Milbrot. You know what I remember about this one the most is the reviews, because I guess she's a teacher and some of her students read this book and were not happy with her. But they were critiquing her as a person and a teacher, not based on this book. So I thought that was really mean, and I wish that was something you could report to Goodreads. But anyway, I liked it. I liked the short stories in it, and there is one story I do remember about a woman who did competitive eating, and so yeah, there was one that stuck with me, but otherwise I had no complaints about this book whatsoever. Each story had a vivid character that was the central person that you were following, and you wanted to follow them to the end each time. Okay, this one I was iffy about. Everyone's an Alien and You're an Alien Too by Johnny Sun. This seemed a bit of a hype book, but someone gave it to me as a present, so I decided to read it, and it was so charming, and it was so positive, and it was one of those things that I needed in the moment. I don't know if I would read another book by him unless I was in that mood again, which is possible. And if you are a person who suffers from anxiety and depression, but you like to read, but sometimes you need something that's like one notch below literarily. Oh my God. Literary, that it can't be a word, but one notch below the type of things you would read and one notch below the seriousness of what you would usually read. This is for you. It'll make your brain happy, even if your mood isn't. And Christopher Moore, Bloodsucking Fiends. He is a really good writer. If you want to be the kind of writer who incorporates humor into your book, but you're not a humor writer, he is the master at this, because there's a good story in it and you're entertained in ways that you're not with other books. The reason this one's in this category is there's other books from him that I loved way more. Not that this, again, wasn't a bad book. It's just the other ones for me were at a higher level. This one was just a solid read that introduced me to him and wanted me to continue reading. This was the first book I ever read from him. I think this might be the actual first book. I've had this one for years, and I didn't even crack the spine. I can't crack the spine. I read like this. I don't understand people who like, I can't even pretend to bend it backwards. That would have hurt my heart. And last but not least, J-Pod by Douglas Coupland. Now, Douglas Coupland has some pretty intense books out there. Hey, Nostradamus is one. This one, I would call it his most postmodern work, and it must be because I put the dust cover on upside down, but there's weird areas like this. I never actually Google translated what this meant, but it's a little all over the place, but not in a way that's difficult to follow. This is not a House of Leaves of Grass situation. You know what I mean. The pretentious people in the audience know what I mean. And I still highly recommend it. If you what was the other one he wrote? God is Dead. That one was a fun read too, but it had some elements in it that were a little more intense emotionally for me than this one did. This one, good solid read. I do remember there was stuff about parental neglect in here, so if that's a trigger for you, maybe watch when you read it. But otherwise, if you need to get through a reading slump, J-Pod. And if you need to get through a writing slump too, actually, if I'm going to go in that area, you can see that, again, you don't need to follow A to B to C. Sometimes you can put some wacky Chinese characters in the middle, or Japanese. I might have just been very racist there. Anyway, I hope you all have a great brain day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.